Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. This might be an all-time low. An absolute all-time low.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by supplyhouse.com. They are the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at supplyhouse.com. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Wasco, Carter First 2 as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here on YouTube, you can drop a subscription. It helps us out, and it keeps us at the top of your page so you guys know or see whenever one of our videos go live. As well, there's a little bell icon on YouTube as well, so you can get notified actually directly if we post, so you guys can hit that bell. It's usually the same time, but in case we do like to go live if any big information happens, anything like that comes out. So yeah, hit that. It helps us out again, like we said, and it keeps you guys notified. If you're listening anywhere else, you guys have been killing it lately on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever else you've been listening. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're at an all-time low here. This is just pain all around. We're going to get to the baseball because that's a huge part of it. But Carter, as they know, if all the fans listening know, who stuck around to the end of last episode, we had a big golf tournament this weekend. It was my birthday's coming up, so we always have people down on the Saturday night after day one. And we were in good shape after day one. We started off a little rough. You know what? I think we were 7 over in a 2-man scramble on the front 9, and we were struggling. We were tough, but then we went -1 on the back. We put ourselves in contention, to be sticking around the top. Saturday night didn't help any of us, to be honest. I think there was a lot of people hurting on Sunday morning, including yours truly and Carter. One of us more so than the other, probably, but that's where we're at. And then, we just absolutely were the worst human beings alive at golf. I think there was a couple holes I was on, then a couple holes Carter was on, then a couple holes I was on, then a couple of Carter was on. We just couldn't string anything together. Our golf game was a lot like the Toronto Blue Jays season this year. Just a lot of disappointment. And so we had to watch somebody else lift the trophy or hoist the trophy and win the money. And it was sort of beat us to a pulp. And then, of course, listening to the Jays in the cart didn't help the morale. That's what I'll say.
Well, yeah, you look at the Saturday game, they lose 1-0. It's never going to be a good sight to see. And then Chris Bassett just can't get it out for some reason in the Sunday game. Just not exactly what you want to see. You win against the Baltimore Orioles in a series, and then you come back and you lose to the Oakland Athletics in a series. So our golf game was pretty much like the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays. A lot of upside. There was a lot of promise, and we kind of just let ourselves down, unfortunately, on the Sunday. Not a lot of sleep. Kind of did it to ourselves. But again, there were some good golfers in this tournament this year. So for us, we're not the greatest golfers. We're not the worst, I wouldn't say, but we're definitely not scratch golfers. And I think the winning score was 3 over throughout the 2 days. So that's pretty good for a 2-man scramble with especially guys our caliber of golf. So I'm not sure if we would have been in it anyway, but we definitely had a lot of fun anyway. But let's get into some Blue Jays news. I think the biggest thing, we're obviously going to get into the series probably in the segment too, but some news is coming out from our AAA guys. And it's a part of the Yusei Kikuchi trade, Will Wagner from Thomas Hall. Will Wagner is flying to LA to meet up with the Blue Jays for tomorrow's series opener or today's series opener against the Angels. So it's going to be fun. You got another guy, Will Wagner, going to be smacking the ball around in Los Angeles. Be interesting to see another piece of that Yusei Kikuchi trade, as I said. He's been really good in AAA. So, again, it's AAA compared to the MLB. Obviously, a very big jump. Going to see what he can do. But it's always fun when you got prospects, you're able to watch these young guys and see what they actually got at the MLB level.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at some of Will Wagner's stats here from AAA, obviously, he's got 6 home runs on the year. He's hitting .315 with an on-base percentage of .432, a slugging of .444, and an OPS of .876. And to be honest, Carter, I mean, I'm excited to see what this kid can bring. The other part of it is, this is where the Blue Jays are at. They're going to be bringing guys up, giving them chances, seeing what happens, right? I think that's, I don't want to say the nice part of where the Toronto Blue Jays are at, but I guess the only upside to a pretty overall terrible situation is you get to see some of these young stars, these young prospects early, and to see what they could maybe possibly contribute going forward. And this is where we take a look. Are these guys busts? Do they have potential? And yes, not all the time does everything work out exactly right now, right? Will Wagner could develop in a few years and be fantastic. He could just be fantastic now. It's sort of all encompassing, right? Whatever we can see and gain any type of information out of for what he's going to be in the future is a big component for this squad. And I'm pretty excited. I think overall seeing all of these young guys, Carter, it does make me excited. Um, in saying that, I guess a caveat to that would be that it's a few years until these guys can all come together and be a new sort of, I don't want to say a new fresh core, but some of them that would develop into everyday MLB players. I don't necessarily think that you can rely on these guys moving forward into 2025 if you're wanting to compete whatsoever, honestly.
Yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see what we can get from Will Wagner. He's not gonna be a guy that's gonna go on this Davis Schneider run and hit a million home runs. And that's kind of where we're at in the Toronto Blue Jays season. Like, you're not winning a series against the Oakland Athletics. At least get some of these guys to play. You see what they do at the MLB level. And it's going to be interesting to see how this transpires. A guy that has not had a lot of service time. He's not very old. Obviously, his dad was a very good baseball player, so that helps with a little bit of tips and tricks that he can use in the MLB. So for him, he's never been a power hitter guy. He's never been hitting home runs. He's never been crushing the ball out of the stadium, but he's very good at putting the barrel on the ball. He has high average guy, high on base guy. And that's exactly what you need on the Toronto Blue Jays team. That's what any baseball team needs. You need guys to get on base, especially when you have a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who can be hitting guys in. So we're looking at these prospect trades at the deadline, and you're going over it. Jake Bloss, we'll get into him. He had to start in AAA Buffalo. But you're looking at Joey Lopervito. He's already with the team. And now you're looking at Will Wagner. He's also already with the team. So it's looking like a pretty good trade if you can just get some of these prospects to just showcase what they have. Again, Will Wagner doesn't have to go out and hit 600 necessarily. He doesn't have to go on a Vladdy 22-game hitting streak. But we just want to see some good things from him. We want to see what he can do. Just play solid baseball, have good at-bats, don't swing at junk. He has a pretty good eye as well. He's a very good contact hitter. So it's going to be interesting to see how that transpires at the MLB level and just where Ross Atkins, or John Schneider, I should say, hits this guy in the batting order. I'm thinking he'll probably slot in there at 7 or 8 to start. Probably won't be too high up in the lineup. But again, Joey Lopervito hasn't necessarily been that good with this short amount of time in the major league. So they have a lot of flexibility of what they can do with the number 2 spot. Maybe we see him there, but just excited to watch another prospect play for this team.
Yeah, me too. And just sort of going back to Joey Lopervito a little bit. I mean, it's been a rough stretch for him so far. I mean, obviously, he's struck out 16 times in his 32 at bats in his first 8 games with the Toronto Blue Jays. So just looking at that statistic as it is, I mean, it's not promising, but you're just hoping that these guys can find a little bit of heat and maybe spark something. So do I take anything specifically away from the Joey Lopervito rough start? Not really. I mean, again, you can't judge a guy based off of 8 games, but it is a little bit concerning. Like, I'm not going to say that I'm thrilled about seeing Joey Lopervito strike out half the time, but at the end of the day, I mean, again, we have to see some of these guys in a bigger evaluation time span. So we'll have to see what happens with Joey Lopervito and Will Wagner and all these guys, honestly. So Carter, just before we get into some of the games, do you have anything else you want to touch on?
I'm just gonna kind of talk about his position, how it transpires to the Toronto Blue Jays. So he's slotted as a third baseman, and obviously, if you're watching this team does not have an everyday third baseman. Will Wagner is 26 already, so again, you kind of want to see what he can do. He's getting up there in age, I guess you could say. Not really, he's 26 years old, but as a prospect, he's definitely getting on the higher side of age for a AAA guy. So you're looking at third base. He's going to be okay defensively. I'm not, again, screw defense. I don't care anymore. You don't have to play good defense on this team. I just want to see what he can do with the bat. I want to see him just smack the ball all over the yard. I want to see him, again, have competitive at-bats. I think that's something he can do. His swing looks pretty nice as well. So it's nice to watch a guy that just looks clean while he's playing the game of baseball. So other than that, I don't have much more. Will Wagner, hopefully he has have a good start, a first series that transpires to be pretty well for him. And just we want to see good things. We want to see just anything positive that we can take from this Will Wagner stuff. I'm definitely going to try to get on board with that. We haven't gotten a lot of positives from the Toronto Blue Jays season So hopefully our young guys can like at least give us some will to live and watch the Toronto Blue Jays.
I like the will to live, Will Wagner. That was great, Carter. A little hat tip to you on that one. No, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Again, it's baseball, right? At this point, I'm not expecting a whole ton, so I'm just gonna try to be happy with what I get and hope for some Blue Jays wins. This series was hard to watch. It was really, really hard to watch and listen to as we did, sort of listening and watching as much as we could within the confines of a golf course. But yeah, it was bad, and we're all Toronto Blue Jays fans out on the course, so it was even worse to be surrounded by a bunch of Toronto Blue Jays fans who can't seem to bring themselves to watch Toronto Blue Jays baseball. So we're going to get into all that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with sort of the series recaps, our thoughts, and eventually we will hit also the series preview. So we'll get into all that coming up.
Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So you can join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
So, like we talked about in the last segment, the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend, they were just terrible. There's nothing else I can say. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that was the most fun Blue Jays baseball I've ever watched in my life, because it was very, very far from that. Am I mad? Am I angry? No. I'm sad, a little bit depressed, probably. I'm tired, which on all of that just does not help. And you know what? We had somebody come up to me on the weekend and ask me, how in the world are you guys talking about Blue Jays baseball right now? What in the world could you possibly be talking about? And I think what a lot of people don't sort of see is that there's a lot of stuff going on with this team, right? A lot of pieces that we're sort of trying to break down and take a look at, because I'm hopeful. I don't want to say hopeful. I'm looking forward to 2025 and trying to figure out what pieces go together. And I think as baseball fans in general, I think that's probably where we're all at right now is where can this team get to by next season? What needs to be done? I think we all know the big answer to that one. And that's a big see you later to Ross Atkins. We have a huge episode coming out tomorrow for you guys. We're going to break down everything we know, speculation, everything that we've heard around the Ross Atkins situation and what's going to happen. It's a little bit unclear to the fans. We've dug a little bit deep, and we've tried to put together what we think is a realistic possibility and going to happen. But Carter, in saying that, that's tomorrow. Let's get back to today. The Blue Jays suck. And Chris Bassett was one of the worst people I've ever seen on this planet yesterday. So I'm just not happy. I'm going to go over a stat line because I'm sitting here and I don't know what to say. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, and of course, Chris Bassett gives up 2 home runs against the Oakland Athletics, the soon-to-be Vegas something or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just not great. Just simply, well, you can say about Chris Bassett with that start. A guy that's going to be reliable a lot of the time for you. Just clearly did not have his stuff today. The command was literally all over the place. They were raking off of him. It's very unfortunate to see. 6 runs the first inning. I think there was 1 out. He gave up 6 runs. So that's never going to play, unfortunately. Takes you right out of the game at the start. It's really hard to come back from that. They made it competitive, I guess. 8-4, but again, you don't want to have a competitive game against the Oakland Athletics. You probably want to blow them out. But when you're looking at this from the big picture, you're looking at what the Blue Jays need from the season. They need the prospects to start working out and playing good baseball, and you need them to lose baseball games in the grand scheme of things. I'm never going to cheer against the Toronto Blue Jays, but it would help the organization more if they do lose baseball games. They'll just have a higher chance in the lottery to get the first pick against Jackson Hawley's brother, I believe, is the projected first pick. Be very fun to see a little division battle between those two for years to come. So in that big picture, it's good that the Toronto Blue Jays lost, I guess. Again, it's tough to say that because now we have to watch these type of baseball games. Definitely not fun. Like Brent Rooker's single, then JJ Bleday home run, Lawrence Butler single. There was just a million hits. It was a hit parade. Chris Bassett was saying, "You get a hit, you get a hit." He was handing them out like Oprah in this first inning. Lawrence Butler, they batted around the first inning. That's how the game went. That's you're not going to win a baseball game. You go down 6-0 in the first inning of a game.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I don't think we're shocking anybody by saying anything like this. And just overall, I mean, it sucks. Obviously, Vlad ended his hit streak. I mean, it had to come to an end at some point. That's just how baseball is. You're just not going to get a hit every game. That's just not how anything works. Great run he went on. Big hat tip to Vladdy. I know this is not what you want to see, but the whole team didn't really have it today as it was. Good day from Dalton Varsho with the home run, going 2 for 3. Besides that, Carter, I mean, De Los Santos obviously got his first 2 hits of his MLB career as
First
well.
RBI.
So, yeah, first RBI. Yeah, so good to see from him. A first double, I believe, as well, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, he got rewarded with being sent back down to AAA. So,
yeah.
Unfortunate for him, but a guy that's been battling with the Toronto Blue Jays for a long time. He's been in the system for a while now. I believe it was 2017. I'll have to fact check that as well. But he's been one of the longer tenured Toronto Blue Jays. Upside's not as high there. It's nice to see a lot of kid get his chance, though, get his first major league hit. Definitely a moment he'll remember forever. But you did bring up the Vladdy ending the hit streak. That was probably the worst part of this game. I couldn't care less that the Toronto Blue Jays lost 20-0 in this game. I wanted Vladdy to continue the hit streak. But saying that, just looking at the Toronto Blue Jays' longest hit streaks in their franchise history, Sean Green had the most at 28, so he was getting close to that big number. Edward Encarnacion has 26, along with Shannon Stewart. And there's a couple other guys in there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 22, which is the sixth longest hitting streak in Toronto Blue Jays history. He tied his own record, career high in games where he had a hit with 22. That happened in 2022. So this is the best Vladdy we've seen in a very long time, debatably ever since 2021 for sure. I'll go over the stat line that he had during these 22 games because it's absolutely absurd. He was 40 for 81. So it's just under 500. I guess, yeah. Sorry, Vlad. You got to be a little bit better than that. You got to get to 500. 494 average, 10 home runs, 22 extra base hits, 22 RBIs, and an OPS of 1,583. Absolutely insane. What a tear this guy's been on. Hopefully he can stay hot. Again, you don't expect him to hit 500 for the rest of the season. But boy, when Vladdy is on, he is one of the funnest players to watch in all of baseball.
Oh, by far. And I mean, that's not even a debate, Carter. We all know we have fun watching him. I know there's some people that are just Vlad haters at this point, and even with his success, will try to bash him and knock him down a peg. But I mean, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, like we went over on Friday. I mean, there's no arguing it. There's no arguing it. You can look at the stats, you can use the eye test. I don't care what you do. He's one of the best hitters in baseball, and I honestly just can't listen to an argument about that. I mean, you can try. You're very welcome to. The comment section's open. But at the end of the day, Vlad is just an absolute stud. Carter, I wanted to go over just a couple more games here before we get into the series preview. Just a couple things. Yariel Rodriguez, hat tip, flowers, whatever you want to give him. Absolute stud. 5 2/3 innings. Gave up 5 hits, only 1 run, 5 Ks, 1 walk. Obviously, the home run. Has his ERA down to 3.6. You know what? He's doing what I hoped he would do. And yes, he's not your most consistent guy. You don't always know necessarily what you're going to get from him. But as a 5th slot rotation guy, that's sort of exactly what you're expecting for these next few years. And this is his first year of his contract, first year in the majors. You got to give the guy a break. And he really proved some stuff to me in that Saturday game, Carter. I know, very bland game to listen to. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the Blue Jays got 2 hits, so I don't really care about this game. That game, we had it on in the cart, Carter, and I don't know. I was barely tuning in. I mean, it was just, there was no point. There was 0 point to even listen to that game.
Yeah. The only thing for me was like we had it on the card. And we got why you got to hit. I'm like, okay, we don't really need to we'll even listen to this anymore because they just have no offense. Like they are not hitting well. Obviously, 2 hits, just not going to do it. It's unfortunate. Losing a game 1-0 to the Oakland Athletics with their pitching staff. It's just insane. You hate to see it. That's all I have to really say about that game. One of the more boring games, honestly, of the entire season. Kind of lucky that we weren't paying like very close attention like we normally do on these weekend games. We were obviously in that golf tournament, but did still have it on. If you had to watch that game, sorry about that. I mean, it's not my fault, obviously, but unfortunate that you had to go through that. A quick game, I guess. At least you got that going for you. You didn't have to be tormented for like a 4-hour baseball game, even though those don't really happen anymore with the pitch clock. But yeah, from that Saturday game, like, what is there to go over? There's really not a lot. Tommy Nance made his first appearance for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's pretty much it. I got there. Like, there's not a lot to go over here. Ryan Burr looked good in this start as well. Yeah, you got to get more than 2 hits. You can't give up 6 runs in the first inning, and you got to get more than 2 hits to win baseball games.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. The only thing that I actually liked, and I had to actually, I wanted to actually go back and watch it because obviously we were hitting golf balls at the time, but was seeing Mason Miller pitch against Vladdy and hit 103 on the clock. That was sort of sick. I mean, as a baseball fan, that was sick. Watching Vlad strike out there wasn't the best thing ever, but it was cool to see. Great talent for Mason Miller. I really enjoy watching him, as brutal it is that he's on the Oakland Athletics. But you know what? He's sort of making a name for himself this season. I think they've seen good stuff from him. And of course, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to go, Paul Sullivan's probably got a breakdown on Mason Miller on one of their podcasts. You can go check that out over at Locked On A's. Paul Sullivan also runs the Locked On MLB channel as well. So make sure you guys go give that or make that your second listen of the day. If we're your first listen, which we hope we are, make Locked On MLB your second one. It is awesome. Sully does a great job, and he sort of brings his own flavor to it. It's a really fun listen. Carter, just before we hit a quick break here, I did want to go into the Friday game as well, since we didn't get to necessarily cover that. The Blue Jays do pick up a win here, 3-1. It's still not exactly what you want to see, but I mean, they put up 10 hits. Jose Barrios just shoves. I mean, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 8 Ks. It was just a fun game. Like, that was a fun game. That was a great game. More hits, more runs. You would have liked it, but watching Jose Barrios is just always fun for me.
Yeah, when he's on, he's again another fun pitcher to watch. Like, just especially when you're watching it on the TV, you could see just his slurve moving like an insane amount. He's one of those pitchers that even on the TV, you're like, holy crap, this guy has some disgusting stuff. Just another good start from Jose Barrios. It's been a little bit up and down as of recently, but again, with guys like Jose Barrios, guys like Kevin Goss, with Chris Bassett, it's tough to say, but I don't necessarily care because I know what they're going to do next year again. Like, they're experienced vets in the league. They've been doing it at a consistent rate for a very long time. You want them to finish strong. For me, it's just like, don't throw your arm out. Don't get injured. Knock on wood. Please just stay healthy. Focus on 2025. It sucks to say that at like the end of July, start of August. You're like, oh yeah, we're on to 2025. The trade deadline was a whole lot of fun, but now it's like you got 65 games of baseball and really just nothing to get excited about. Like, we're going to be talking a lot about prospects, which again is fun to see, but I'd much rather be just going for a playoff spot here and actually have meaningful baseball games to watch. Because last year it was so much, even though the Toronto Blue Jays didn't do anything in the playoffs. So it's so fun watching meaningful baseball games, just the hunt for the playoffs, that we're getting those wild card spots. It's just way better than having meaningless baseball where you can throw it on in the background and like, oh, Vladdy's on a 22-game hit streak. Awesome. He's playing some of the best baseball of his career. But there's nothing to look forward to. It doesn't matter because the Toronto Blue Jays will not be in the playoffs in 2024. It's just a sad outlook on life, honestly, when you're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and their expectations compared to how they're actually playing this season. But from this game, George Springer home run off of his first at bat in the game. Springer dinger, you love to see that. Just continuing to climb the ranks for leadoff home runs. And then the Spencer Horwitz moon mall. Oh my God. He got all of that baseball. That was such a fun swing to watch. Just pull side home run, fourth deck. The guy's insane. I love Spencer Horwitz. We're hoarding for Horwitz on this podcast. Can't get enough of the guy.
Yeah, we got to get that shirt out at some point. I think, you know what? I think I do have it up. I think there is a shop that has it that we sort of created. There's not a lot on there just because apparently design is very not easy at all. And to try to get like with all the copyright stuff around it, we're gonna try to get some stuff out to you guys. That was sort of an announcement we were supposed to do like a long time ago, but it is apparently there's like 9,000 hoops you have to jump through to get t-shirts printed or whatever. So that'll be up soon, which you guys can get for those of you still listening. Maybe, I don't know, we'll drop it at some point. I'm going to try to get a couple more designs up there. I got a couple people working with me, so we'll get that shop up and we'll link it in all the videos as well, so you guys can click that if you're at all interested, because my buddy Dal, as you've seen on this podcast, actually has some pretty good design skills out of nowhere. Didn't know he could design stuff. Apparently he can. I don't know. It's cool. I can't. Mine are terrible. But anyway, Carter, the Horny for Horowitz, I love it. It's a great shirt. But besides that, I mean, I don't know. I looked through this and I just don't care. Like it's great. I don't know. The Blue Jays won a game and then got beat by the Orioles or the Athletics in a 3-game set. That's just where we're at. We do have another series though. We got some more baseball to look forward to. And so I think we'll do a quick breakdown on that. And then that'll be your Monday. So we can get into this Ross Atkins episode on Tuesday. It is going to be a big one. That's to say the least. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back at the series preview. And then we'll sort of tee up a little bit of the Ross Atkins episode coming tomorrow.
Spring has sprung, and that means spring cleaning. Whether that means stocking up on cleaning supplies or swapping out your winter clothes for some new spring clothes, make sure you're using Ibotta and get real cash back with every purchase. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, buy that flight you've been eyeing, the Blue Jays game you've been dying to go to, or that fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. So you guys know I love FanDuel. Carter is starting to love FanDuel. I'm getting to him. FanDuel's getting to him. It's too good. I keep winning. I don't understand. I was losing for a while. Now I'm back on the win train. I think it's easier to see the outcomes with Vlad just being on was being on such a huge hit streak. And of course, I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs have wound down in the NHL, the NBA, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, but FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever, wherever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Little series preview. Why not? We do it all the time. You guys know it if you're returning listeners or viewers or however you guys consume our content. It's the Angels versus the Blue Jays. Will Wagner will be in this series. That's going to be interesting. Besides that, I don't care. I don't really care. I just want to watch some good baseball. I want to see Horwitz just hammer balls to the fourth deck like all the time, if possible. But it's Bowden Francis versus Daniel on today. Then tomorrow we got Gosman and Fulmer. Then we have Barrios versus Anderson. And the pitching matchups, yeah, they probably should look in the Blue Jays' favor. But at this point, I just don't know what to expect. It seems like every day I go into these games with the thought process of the Blue Jays should win this one or I think they should get killed. And it seems like it's always the opposite that happens because that's just how baseball works. And I don't know, Carter, you just like at all, is there anything you're like specifically looking forward to see besides maybe Will Wagner?
One thing that I have been liking from what this guy's been doing after his just horrendous start to the season, it's actually Eric Swanson. Eric Swanson, since he's been back with the Toronto Blue Jays, has looked a whole lot better. In his last 7 games, he has a 1.35 ERA over 6 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits given up, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, 4 walks. Again, you probably want more strikeouts from Eric Swanson, but he's not allowing runners to score. And that's the only thing I really look at with relief pitchers is that you just don't want to give up runs. You can give up a million hits if you want. again, makes my heart go a little bit quicker if you're going to do that. The old Jordan Romano special that he used to just load the bases almost before he decided to actually pitch. But it's looked really good for Eric Swanson, how bad he was at the start of the season. For him to have any sort of success throughout the rest of this season, get that confidence back for 2025 is going to be a massive step for him. So just shout out to Eric Swanson for what he's doing in the bullpen. Other than that, just want, again, I'll say it like every single podcast, want Lopervito to hit well. Maybe we'll start another hitting streak here for Vladdy. We'll start at 1. You can start that against the Los Angeles Angels. It should be a pretty easy stretch for the Toronto Blue Jays. But again, you look at, like, if you're an opposing team, say you're like the Boston Red Sox, you're looking at your schedule. The Blue Jays are your soft part of the schedule. When they come to town, you're like, sweet, we should probably win a series here. That's not something I think I thought I was going to say, at this point, but here we are. So yeah, other than that, Will Wagner, want to see him get his first career hit, obviously. Just want to see some good pitching. But yeah, nothing too crazy from the series. Let's, I guess, go win a series in Los Angeles. They're not a good baseball team. Tyler Anderson's good, who will be one of the pitchers in this game. Mike Trout's out. Like, there's not too much to get like crazy excited about, but we have baseball on, so we can't really complain. Again, when we're in December or January, the dog days of the offseason, where you're like, man, I would kill for a Los Angeles versus the Toronto Blue Jays game. So we'll enjoy it while it's here, and just hopefully can see some good stuff from some good players.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sort of in the same boat. I've loved what Swanson's doing. You brought that up, and I just really hope for a resurgence from him. And so far, he's looked very good. So I just hope Swanson the best, because I think that I know and you know that he's better than what we saw at the beginning of the season. And so I really am praying for him that he can, continue to do well. But yeah, besides that, I'm just gonna, it's gonna be an interesting week for me, as I have mornings now instead of my usual late night shifts. So it's gonna be weird watching games at home and not, sitting in my box at work. So we'll see how that goes. Now that treats me. But just before sort of, we continue here, we just want to thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Carter, I'm not going to lie to you, my dude. I need about 4 days of rest after this weekend. Who knows that golf could just, kick you when you're down, but it does that more than anything in my life right now. So it's, we got our baseball playoffs in, I think it's not next weekend, but the weekend after. Yeah. So my head will be fully in slow pitch baseball for the next 2 weeks. Me and Carter got to get out and hit some balls, field some balls, just, sort of get our heads back into it. We were focusing on golf here for the past week or so. So, I think that's something for us, at least. If we'll let you know how sort of we do over the next week or so. Is I think playoffs technically start next week, I guess.
Yeah,
just with a couple games, so it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait for that. I love slow pitch. It's not the same. It's not the same as being out on the mound and chucking the ball, but it's something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can't get launched off of just consistently when you're on the mound now. It's as expected. You can't really do much. I mean, I had a couple gross pitches the other day, though. I had some guys striking out, looking. It's definitely fun to see when there's like 45-year-olds just not swinging the bat in slow pitch. It's pretty awesome. But one thing I do want to get into before we do head out is Jake Bloss. We went over Will Wagner. We touched on Joey Lopervito a little bit. So Yusei Kikuchi's trade is really unfolding right in front of our eyes here. So we did have a start with the Bisons. Again, first start, he was on a pitch limit at 50 pitches, but he went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 3 hits. I believe one of them was a bunt, 0 runs, and he threw 32 strikes out of the 50 pitches. So it's nice to see that he had an effective outing. And that's exactly what we want from these players. We want them to gain confidence. We want them to just get their feet wet, start figuring out how to pitch at the MLB level. Again, this guy is a AAA, but a guy that we could see by the end of the season. So if he keeps having starts like this, they maybe work him up a little bit. We might be able to see Jake Bloss as well on this major league team and have all 3 of the prospects gathered in that trade all play in 2024, which is awesome to see. You're actually seeing the prospect talent right in front of your eyes. You don't have to wait like 7 years to see a prospect, which is great. So with Jake Bloss, yes, you want to consider consistency. There's going to be starts that he will be able to make. You have Bowden Francis for that 5th starting rotation role right now. But I'm definitely not going to complain if we get to watch Jake Bloss go in there as well. So just nice to see him have a solid outing.
Yeah, and that's all we can hope for right now, right? Is to see some of these guys do well, hopefully. But But besides that, yeah, that we'll cover that way more when or if that start is slated, and we will let you guys know when that happens as well. It's just like the Will Wagner thing today, just as he's coming up and making his debut. Carter, besides that, my man, I think it's been a weekend for us, and it's time for me to recoup, and I have to be at work in 4 hours. So here we go, Blue Jays fans. It's another week of Toronto Blue Jays baseball. Thank you guys all for watching, listening, whatever you do. We really appreciate it. Drop a comment if you have any questions, mailbag questions. It can be personal. It can be about Blue Jays. It can be like, I don't know, what's Carter's favorite hat that he owns? I don't care. Drop a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's have a little bit of a conversation. We'll bring it up on the episodes of the podcast. As always, guys, thanks a ton for watching these episodes, listening to these episodes, and take it easy. Kick it off on a good week on this Monday.